Hi, my name is Dr. Navin Leanage and I am an emergency medicine trainee in the East Midlands, and I've been asked to talk to you about my journey into medicine. So I first sat my A-levels back in 2006 and 2007, leaving school in 2007. I always knew I wanted to do medicine, but I think looking back on things, I wasn't as driven to do it as I was in later years. When I applied, I did the standard of biology, chemistry, and I chose to do geography as my extra A-level. And I applied as anyone else would at that stage, but I don't think I was quite in the right mindset. I wasn't quite as driven, like I said. So when it came to working for it, I did work hard, but I think I probably could have worked a bit harder. And so when it came to actually getting my predicted grades, they weren't as good as I thought they were going to be, or that my tutor and I thought they were going to be. So I'd already put the application in by the time I found out about my predicted grades. And back then we could apply for 6 courses in total, 4 of which could be medicine or dentistry. So my backups were biomedical sciences at Newcastle and Hull. And I'd chosen to go for a year out to earn a bit of money and see if I could get a bit of travelling in if I could afford it. I got 4 straight rejections from the 4 universities that I applied for. I'd done the UK CAT, it was called the UK CAT at the time. And it was difficult to know if my UK CAT score was good or not. I think it was about average because it was a fairly new exam back then. But yeah, I got straight rejections, no interviews whatsoever. So I was pretty upset. But it didn't really hit me for a couple of years that I kind of missed out on an opportunity. And I think that was testament to me not being as driven as I should have been. So I got a job as a hospital porter at Glenfield Hospital in Leicester. And I thought I'd use that to my advantage to get to know what hospital workings are like and be able to chat with other professionals as well as patients in a controlled setting. And that's what I did. I managed to earn some cash and I just became very curious what was going on in the hospital. So I asked questions no end really, every professional that I could find. So for example, when I was taking patients from the ward to X-ray or CT, whilst waiting for the patient to be ready, I'd chat with the nurses or the occupational therapists or the physios, find out what they did and how they worked together. And I'd be able to chat with the patients in the journey between where they were and where they needed to go. I did biomedical sciences as an undergraduate, and like many of us who did biomedical sciences, most of us actually wanted to do medicine or had applied for medicine and not got in. So there were 260 people on my course and about probably 240 wanted to do medicine or dentistry. And I'd applied to Newcastle because they offer a transfer in the first year. However, you need to do the UK CAT again. You have to do a personal statement again. And it's an internal application. And they ask for a certain average grade throughout the year. So I redid everything, and unfortunately I didn't get I fell just short of the average grade. And they do often tell us that they don't have to fill all the spots, and they only allocated 7, which was a shame. But at that point I'd realised that I needed to pick up my socks and work a bit harder, and also take this opportunity to develop myself as a person. So I really got stuck into university there. I played for the university cricket team and I made the most of my degree, knowing that this is a viable option if I decide not to do medicine. But I was pretty convinced I wanted to do medicine at this point. And I told my tutor at university that I was using this degree as a stepping stone into medicine, and that's how I wanted our meetings to be. But I always had in the back of my mind that I could be a scientist in research if I wanted to at the end of it. So the years went on, and when it came to final year, I had to apply again through UCAS as before. I had to redo the UK CAT, which I did. And because it had been around for a few years by that point, we were getting a better idea of what scores were required. And again, my score was only slightly above average, and so I decided to be more strategic with my application to medicine. And I still remember sitting in the kitchen with my housemate, and we literally wrote down all the universities that have a medical school and all the contact numbers for each one, and I rang every single one of them and found out their entry requirements, whether it be UK CAT scores, if they still asked for my A-levels, and what the degree requirement would be, what my final degree had to be for me to get in. And I just wanted to double check. Some of them didn't always say very clearly online. And when you ring up, they often tell you to not bother applying if you're literally missing one grade. And I narrowed it down to only a handful of medical schools, and from that I decided to apply to a specific group of 4. This time I didn't really have a backup. In my third year, we do a research project in biomedical sciences, so I worked in a lab, and I said to my lab supervisor that although I wanted to do medicine, if things don't work out, I would still like to consider a career in research and potentially doing a master's. So my lab team knew that that was a possibility for me, so I tried to keep a few more doors open. I did apply again to the 4 universities. My tutor was very good and produced a very nice reference for me. And then the rejections started coming again, and I really started to lose hope because I was really driven this time to do it. I've been continuously working as a porter in my holidays and occasionally going home on weekends if I needed to get a bit of extra cash. I got 3 rejections, and it just happened to be my first choice university hadn't rejected me, and they'd actually invited me for a interview. Funnily enough, that was the only university that I'd applied to back when I did A-levels. So either maybe, I don't know, they might have seen my name and thought, that looks familiar, clearly committed, or my application was just better this time. Either way, I got an interview. And because I'd spent so much time portering and practicing my communication skills and developing myself as a person, and I'd been in these leadership roles for sports, and I'd matured a bit more, I felt that I came across quite well in an interview, and so I was a little bit more relaxed going in, although the pressure was still on because this was my last chance really to get in. And one of the answers I gave in my interview when they asked me what if you don't get in was I said I would do a master's and apply again, and if I don't get in I'd do a PhD and apply again, and I would keep trying to apply until I either gave up or eventually got in. So I really tried to show I was committed. Whatever I said in that interview seemed to work, because I got an offer for medicine at Leicester, and I got my grade of a upper second class in my degree, and went to study medicine back in 2011 was when I started, and honestly I've never looked back. Whether I got in through the skin of my teeth or if I made it in with plenty of space to spare on my score, I don't know. It doesn't really matter, I'm a doctor either way, and I've enjoyed every minute of it. The journey has been a longer one than most people, but honestly looking back on things, I'm glad I did it this way personally, because it helped me to develop myself and ensure I definitely knew I wanted to do it. Those 240 odd biomedical scientists who started out in first year wanting to do medicine, when I attended the applying for medicine talk at my university, only about 30 of us actually remained wanting to do it. So it's a good way to really see if you definitely want to do it, and it's just a good way of going about things. But honestly, if I got an offer to do it straight out of school, I would have taken it, and I'm sure I still would have got to be a doctor. So either way, I achieved my dream, and I'm happy. So I hope that's quite informative for you all. Here I am as a doctor.